Hi, this is my second video for my presentation about the individual research temporal database. Now we focus on insert, delete, and update time period. For insert time period constraint, we have something about that primary constraint for time period, which means that if the time period of the insert query has overlapped with any existing records in tables, database will reject this insert query. For example, now we have implemented this primary key constraint in MySQL servers. So you can see that now we clean the data in the table, and now we see there's no record in the table, and we insert one record. Look at the table. You see there's one record here. Now I want to insert another record, which time period is overlapped with the previous records in 2014 and 2015. So now I insert it. You see, the insert statement conflict with the check constraint. So that means, and I look at the database, there is already only one record there. The second one failed. So it means that the primary constraint will prevent this fault. But for delete time period, the situation becomes more complex. First, it has two different kinds of delete. First, the record time period overlapped by delete time period. You can see the picture here. When the record time period overlap with the delete time period, we don't remove the record, but we modify the record. Modify the end time of the record to be the begin time of the delete time period. So in table, in SQL Server, we use a procedure to implement this function. I call this procedure as a delete function. And now let's see the table. Okay, now I have a record, and I want to delete this one. The time period overlap with the record for begin with the 2015. Now I execute this one. You see, in the table, end time has updated to the 2015. Let's go back to the PPT. And for the second situation, the record time period during the delete time period. You see in the picture. So this when we do this delete, the record time period will all gone. We will remove this record time period. So in the database that we see, we want to delete the time period which contains the record time period, and we do it. You see, this procedure removes the time period. Okay, for next one, if the record time period contains the delete time period, this is the most difficult thing to do, because for the database, after delete, the previous records will edit. We will edit the previous record end time to the delete time's beginning, and add a new record with the previous value. First of all, we clean the date and add a new record here. Let's see. Okay, there's one record here, and now I want to delete based on the time period that is during the record time period. So let's do it. And see again, you will see the original record has been updated by the end time, and new records will be added to and with the previous value. This is how we do in the procedure of the delete function. But for update, something is different. It also has three different conditions. First, record time period overlap the update time period. You can see here. When this update happened, we also modify the previous record, edit his end time, but we add a new time period with the update value. So now first, to test it, we clean the date. And now let's see the table. Now we have a recurrence, and we have a update which time period is overlapped with the recurrence. The time period is overlapped in 2015 and 2016. So now let's do it. And let's see. You see, we modified the end time of the previous recurrence and add a new recurrence here to indicate the new values. And for the second situation, recurrent time period during update time period. This update is similar with the traditional ones. When the update happened, all the values should be updated. So let's go back to here. Now we remove some data. Now we have one recurrence. And now I do an update which time period contain this recurrent time period and the price update to 4. Now let's do it. You see, this one time period has update and the begin time and end time remain the same. We don't change it. Okay, and for last situation, recurrent time period contain update time period. You see, when the update happened, we modified the previous recurrent, the original recurrent. Update is end time, and insert 2 new recurrents with the update value and with original values. So this update is really complicated. Now let's remove the date and do some data cleaning. Now we have the date, and here we want to do an update procedure with the time period during this recurrent time period and update the price to 4. Let's do it and see. You see, here is the first recurrent is the previous recurrent, and we add 2 new recurrent here with the new values or original values. So this is how the update procedure works. The last part is temporary database filter. More and more researcher will, I believe that more and more researcher will focus on time period in join and time interval group and more features. This is really new and not implemented now, and I think in the future version of the SQL, it will publish something new about these things. Okay, and for a second, because of the SQL 2011, more and more database will begin to implement temporary operations and to deal with the time intervals. For example, Microsoft SQL Server has begun a public vote to talk about adding a support for time interval query. So we can see a link here. So let's see the website. It's from the Microsoft Connect SQL Server home. Here is a public vote to talking about as support for interval query. The time is this year's. This is really a recent trend for the SQL Server to support the time interval queries about adding interval and something else. So that is all of my top presentation about my individual research. Thank you.